enough? Maybe I need to put this up in my face more.
Get it up.
Need that phallic thing up in my face more. Put this in the video.
Let's go like that. Let me adjust it for you.
Yeah, we're like this. Is this right? I got it. Get it. Adjust it. Get this right.
All right. We'll keep this in too. All right. 3, 2, 1. We are live, Ryan.
We're live. Episode 35.
Wow.
Speaking of embarrassing moments, I remember I was showing Disney how to fast rope one time.
What's that?
We're just talking about the microphone here and awkward hand gestures. I guess you'll have to see this joke on video. If you guys are listening online, you gotta, maybe this is the one episode you go and you watch on the video. I was teaching how to fast rope. Not teaching her out of a fucking helicopter, but I was showing her like, hey, you grab it with both hands and then you have to like twist on the way down. But I was doing it, I didn't recognize like how weird it was looking. And I was explaining, it's like, yeah, you have to put your hands right in front of you, grab like this, and then twist on the way down. And I was going like this. And she's just looking at me like, she didn't say anything. She's like, wait, how do you do it? Do it again. I'm like, oh, you like this. And I didn't realize it just like, looks like I'm chugging a huge cock, man. Finally, I got it. I'm like, oh, I see what you did there.
She didn't take out her phone and start, hey, one more time.
Dude, I know, right? I didn't quite get it.
Yeah.
She still does that though. We're at a bar. She's like, hey, Ryan, can you show them how to fast rope?
No way.
Fuck off. I'm not telling anybody that.
That's funny though. I love it.
Yeah. It's sad that I'm not nearly as cool in real life as I pretend to be in Instagram and the podcast. So.
You're fucking awesome, Ryan. You're awesome.
Thank you. I think so too.
So what were you doing at 35?
That
fast roping
question. I was no longer, 20. I think I just, what the hell was I doing at 35? So I came in at 19, got out at 29. So I was already out of the military for a while, but I was teaching at SQT. So I wasn't fast roping anymore, but I think I was still involved in, there might've been a few times where like we threw some kids out fast roping. Because I was still like Hearst Master qualified.
Yeah.
Which is helo rope suspension. I forget what the fuck it stands for. It's basically like rope master where you get to throw dudes out of a helicopter.
Jeez.
Well, I mean, they're attached to shit. They're not like...
But do you ever imagine they're not? Like,
oh, my God. Dude, it's so sketch. I've had so many people die in like training accidents. It's like, and before I was in, I always think like, oh, Navy SEALs dying in training accidents. It's probably some black ops thing where they're like, they just tell them they died in training. Like, no. They just really die in training.
Is it more normally from like just how like the flight stuff?
There's a lot of that. There's fast rope, casting.
What about drownings?
A bit of that, not usually at the higher levels, but there's been a few of those in buds, but super, super rare because there's so much oversight in buds. But yeah, it's funny, like when I was in it, I was like, oh, how does anybody think you just do it? You don't really care. But looking back, maybe now as an older person, I'm like, dang, that actually was pretty fucking, that was pretty dangerous. I didn't think about it at the time. You're like, wow, all right, yeah. I'm glad I didn't think about it too much at the time. I would have been like, oh man, maybe I don't need to be doing this. But it's funny, like we're just talking about Top Gun. Like, dude, when you're in it, you're just in it. You don't notice all the other like extra little shit. You're just like, fuck, this is badass.
Yeah.
And later on, you're like, well,
what the hell was that?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways I could have gone bad.
I know.
Maturity sucks. But yeah, where do you want to be at 35?
35. I'm 27. So I got
7 years, man. It's a long time.
Dude. It's in the aspect of that's such a trip to really think about. Because I have like my 5-year plan and that's like what I'm focusing on. So I'm like, okay, what's after that?
Well, 7 years seems forever when you're 27 too.
Yeah. So to me, it's definitely, I want to sell that company by 32, right? I want to be selling just one of them. I don't know. Yeah, we talked about last week about selling a company. I was like, I just want to sell a company by 32. I don't care. Just have that experience under my belt. Was in 30 under 30 on Forbes. So that was sick. Already have a house, maybe not in La Jolla yet, not in the gated community in La Jolla, but still here in San Diego. And I want to be making about like 10 mil a year by 35. Nice. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. I dig it.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, man.
Well, today's topic is a way to help you get there.
Yeah.
And that is networking and relationships. And a big part of that is how do you actually do that both online and in person at a lot of these events. So I've been fortunate enough to go to a ton of these entrepreneur and networking events, and they all have kind of their different flavor and different styles and different culture. And they're all good. I learned something from all of them. But I think it's very important to figure out which ones fit your personal style and then spend more time on those. Because through that, and it's like any place that has a culture, right? Like you're going to, a biker gang is going to have a very different culture than a Boy Scout troop, So if you're looking for one and the other, you're probably looking in the wrong place. So a lot of these groups are, not to that extreme, but there are some pretty significant differences in there. I was in EO, which is Entrepreneurs Organization. I think it's probably the biggest one in the world. They have like global chapters and national chapters and all the way down to like, city. I was in the San Diego chapter. And we also looked at the Austin chapter when Disney were out there too. And really cool, very structured, very legitimate. They take it very seriously. I mean, some really good dudes in there. But their focus wasn't my focus. Their focus is more on, I would say, life balance and like, spending time with your kids and freeing up your business so you can spend more time enjoying stuff, like kind of like retirement type stuff. And for me, when I was doing that, it was the first couple of years in industry, and I was just trying to grow my business. Like, I don't give a fuck about balance. I'm not trying to balance any of this shit. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't care. Like, I just want to grow my shit.
Right.
And so for me, it wasn't a good fit for me, and I was a little bit frustrated with the pace of it, even though there were a lot of really high performers in there and really good dudes. It wasn't like they wanted different things than I wanted. And I needed to find a place that was going at a different pace. And so for me, Arete Syndicate was the next one that I did with Andy Frisell and Ed Milet. And that one was cool. It was my first actual foray into these network groups, which I didn't even know they existed before. I just heard of a few of them, but I was like, I don't know, it seems kind of weird. And then I went to this one, and it was extremely cool. The first year was different, very unique experience. Second year was twice as big, so it got a little more diluted. And the third year got combined with their Arete Accelerated, which is the step, like the on-ramp for it. So it ended up being like much, much bigger, which is good because your network is bigger, but a little diluted to where you didn't have the same like personal connection with everybody in the group. So there's pros and cons to any of it. And there's been a ton of other groups that I've been in or gone on. And at this stage, like most of the people who run them are like friends of mine.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll pay to go to them. Sometimes they'll just invite me to go for free, and I hang out and help out with like breakout groups and stuff. And
oh, that's dope.
Yeah, the last one they asked me to speak, but I'm like, dude, I don't want to speak. If I can be not on stage, that would be perfect. I like being behind the scenes, and I'm fine like with like arm's length interaction. Like a podcast, I think is super, super useful, and like I enjoy Instagram conversations, but I don't like being up on stage. I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe that's just a weakness of mine, but. Yeah, at least for right now, I have no intention of going on stage. I actively avoid going on stages.
Yeah, man.
But through that process, I've learned a lot. And one of the biggest things I've learned is that if you're going into a network or one of these entrepreneur groups and you're expecting the main leader in there to give you all the answers, you're going to be disappointed because that's not the main benefit of any of these groups. The main benefit of the groups is the other people within the group. It's finding that other tribe that you all want the same thing. You're all going the same direction. You all agree, this is our culture. This is our vision for what I want out of my life. This is what I want my life to look like. Let's all do that together. And through that, you can make some really good connections for business, for the variety of things you need, whether that's advertising, marketing, content creation, taxes, production, fulfillment, like every little piece of it, there's going to be somebody in that group that does that piece of it. So now you at least have a connection with somebody. They might not be the right fit, but a lot of times they will at least be able to point you in the right direction. And it's better than just Googling shit,
right?
Because there is a bit of accountability too, especially if it's a group that is well respected. If you do any business within that group, you don't want to fuck that person over because you're not going to be able to do any business with everybody in the group, because it's a lot of them are very tight knit, and you always want to put your best foot forward.
Yeah, it reminds me of Scooter Braun, the guy that found Justin Bieber and manages all those like top artists. When he was in like Forbes 30 under 30, he had like mentors, right? Like that were in like the same music industry as him, teaching him like the ropes and like how to be better. But they're like, that's not like what we're here for. Every time he said like, asked a question, he'd say, they'd tell Scooter, oh, I know a guy, right?
Yeah.
And he got the idea of them constantly saying, I know a guy, but it's like, it's not like your mentors, it's who you start connecting now. It's like your age of who these people are. You find those people. So one of his mentors said, like, go in the Forbes 30 under 30 and talk to all those people. Connect with those people because that's your tribe, right? And he's like, one person he like connected with really well was some kid in Germany, and he invested in his like music company. It's called Spotify in the beginning.
Maybe you've heard it.
For a good amount, So, but like it was before Spotify blew up, So, but I think that's so true, where it's not about like just your mentor, they can help guide you, but it's not like that's like the catapult. It's like having your tribe of people in that same direction that you're going.
Yeah, they're the catalyst. They're the person putting the pieces together, but ultimately it's your responsibility to make yourself a person of worth and value within the group, help as many people as you can. And through becoming that, you're going to meet other people who will help you as well. But yeah, also too, I find myself now, even though I'm turning 45 next month, anyway, pretty fucking soon, that I plan a lot longer now. So I'm making like 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plans. Like we have some real estate plans we're working on. We're like, it's gonna be 20 years, Yeah. Because now I'm like, I see looking back, I remember being 20 and 30 and 40 and being like, fuck, wow, the time's going to pass regardless. I'm not too old to make these decisions. I wish I would have done them when I was 25, but just because I haven't doesn't mean I shouldn't do them now.
No, 100%.
Right. Yeah. So I would encourage anybody listening, if you don't have any plans for 10 and 20 years, just think about it. Just think, they don't have to be specific. I mean, it's good if they are, but like, our real estate portfolio stuff, like it has to do with our position that we want to be in with Archive, the fulfillment company, and positioning that is like after we sell it, because we want to sell that in 7 to 10 years. That's our 7 to 10 year plan. But it's like, what do we want our real estate portfolio to look like in 20 years when I'm 64? Fuck, that sounds old. 44 sounded old as shit fucking 20 years ago too. So the time's going to pass anyway. So you might as well make these plans, so at least so that you have something to shoot for. And also, too, think about how powerful it is to where the people that you're meeting now at 27, when you're 35, you have 7 years of history with those people.
That's what me and Dylan, that's what we're like, we need to focus on right now, right? And working with you and other clients that we have is huge, right? But it's also finding those people that are in our tribe.
Yeah.
Because I know, so many people. Doesn't mean you have to work with them. It's that every time I ask a question about or taxes or anything, you're like, oh, I know somebody.
Yeah.
And it's like every time someone asks about
apparel, you gotta have a guy.
No, Ryan.
That's how I get all my business. But I'm just the apparel guy for so many people.
And that's the money make.
But the interesting thing about that too is that I think we've probably talked about this before on a version of the podcast, but most of the people I talk to about apparel aren't even our clients.
Right.
They're people that we're actually not a good fit for. I just try to help them, whatever they need. I try to help them and point them in the right direction. And then they have conversations with other people who we are a good fit for. Like that literally just happened today. We have somebody who, they're a small client of ours. We work with them on a small level, and they're a real estate company. Romeo Echo. Shout out. You guys
shout out.
And, they're funny. They do these great skits online. I just talk with them on Instagram and everything, and met them in a couple veteran network events, and super cool people. And they got an awesome mission. And we just got a distillery company. They hit us up today, like, hey, Romeo Echo referred to you guys. Like, we're looking for a new vendor. And I'm like, well, shit, there we go. Yeah, just our little angle of it is we just try to help as many people as possible. And then we just become the apparel guys. And like, if you're like the hat guy or the content guy or the Insta or the TikTok or whatever the guy, it doesn't have to be a guy. Obviously, you can be a girl or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're the connect and you're the plug for other people, do you just help people out? You will get so many fucking referrals. Right. It's insane. Our entire business is based off that model. So yeah, but it all comes from the network and the groups. And especially now because Facebook marketing and social, all advertising in general is just getting fucking crushed. And nobody has any solutions right now. Everybody's just getting destroyed and everybody's trying a bunch of shit. And regular advertising is just not getting the return that it used to. So I think it makes sense for brands that are or businesses or services that are looking to expand and they're having trouble with their marketing reach and their advertising reach working like it used to 2-3 years ago. Try networking. Yeah. Try just talking to people, going to Facebook groups. Don't try to sell anything. Just try to help them. And then if what you do happens to help them, be like, hey, look, yeah, I this is exactly what we do. If you're a good fit for it, we'll maybe work together, and then you reach out to them and contact them. But don't sell them on it. Like, don't sell anything. Just try to help people. And I think that's going to be a huge component of like breaking down those barriers. Nobody wants to be sold shit, It just sounds shady and sleazy. But if you're like, no, I can help you. And these are the things that I think you're better served by going over here. And these are the few things that, we specialize in and that we're really good at.
Another thing too is like, if you're going to go on a Facebook group or whatever, make sure it's on your profile, like very simply of what you do, right? So it's kind of just like, if you say, hey, what's up, blah, 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 and you don't sell anything, they're going to go to a profile, who the fuck am I talking to? Yeah. And it's like, oh, I do apparel or I do content. Yeah, it's like, oh, this is this, oh, okay, cool. And then you just have conversation,
Maybe that's a good time. So we should dive into how exactly you do this, because so many people, I'll start with the in-person thing. So the way that I set up now to go to networking events or, whatever event where there's going to be people at that I actually want to talk to, whether for business or not, I find out where it is. As soon as the email comes out for where it's going to be held, because sometimes you'll sign up for it and it'll tell you the general city, but it won't tell you like the exact hotel or the exact dates. As soon as that comes out, I book a hotel that is either at the exact center of it or within walking distance. And I will book it for a day in advance and a day after, because you never know you can meet a lot of people, but it really helps to have a few extra hours, like go have brunch or go have, afternoon coffee or something with somebody to, like, say you had a really good conversation, but oh man, we need an extra 30 minutes to really go over the details. Just go have coffee with them and like, hey, I'm at this hotel. Let's meet up for coffee before our flight at 4. You meet up at 2 for your coffee and you leave at 1:30. Like, it's so convenient, and you can solidify so many of those relationships that you have and the people that you connect with. You can solidify those at the end. And also too, because I end up, if you go to these, you'll end up seeing a lot of the same people and you'll develop little networks and friendship groups within these things. So now I go a day early so that I can have dinner ahead of time with some of my other friends who come in early, and we can reconnect on what we've been doing for the last couple months or years and kind of figure out, commiserate on the issues that we're fucking dealing with and why we're dumbasses for being entrepreneurs and all that.
You guys bond.
All the normal shit, yeah. And also, it's just really good to have people to talk with. And then that also sets the tone for when you go into the event the next day, where you have people that you can sit with. And you don't always want to sit with just the people that you know, but I think it is useful to have one person that either in front or behind you, or one person over. So, as somebody's saying something up on stage, you can be like, oh, hey, you know what? Don't talk too loud because then you're going to be the asshole. But you need to give a little look like, oh, fuck yeah, do you remember when we talked about that? That's what we're talking about.
Amen, motherfucker.
Yeah. Don't be that dude. There are some weirdos at some of these events, dude. Yeah. Real weirdos. You're like, dang, bro, I'm glad you don't have my fucking phone number. I used to hand out cards a lot, or I used to have cards. Now I don't even hand out cards. I actually just do Instagram now.
Yeah.
Primarily because you do meet some weirdos, and I like to keep an arm's length thing. I don't like a lot of people having my phone number. So when I meet somebody, usually we'll just do Instagram. And I like Instagram too, because what I do with that, it's a little tactic that helps, helps me remember is we'll have a conversation and like, oh, where you at? And we'll connect. We're like, yeah, let's do Instagram. And it's most people don't think of it as rude anymore. They used to be a couple of years ago, kind of rude. Like, you don't want to give me my phone number, you're going to do Instagram. But now it's pretty accepted.
Yeah.
So you just connect on Instagram. What I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of their Instagram. Sometimes I'll follow them, sometimes I won't. I personally think it's rude when you hand your phone to somebody, they look you up and they follow themselves on your phone. I'm like, bro, come on. Let me get to know you first. Let's grab my ass right away, all right? Come on. Let me check you out. And, so then I'll find them on there, screenshot it, and then I can go back to it later. Or I'll send them a DM, and I do the same thing with this DM or in text if I get somebody's text message. Well, if it's DM, I'll let them know, hey, bro, great talking to you at, and I'll say the bar we're at or the event that we're at or whatever. And if I have time, I'll talk about the topic because you talk to so many different people.
Yeah.
I always fucking forget
all the time.
So that's why it's not a note to them really. It's a note to me, but it looks like it's very caring and nice because it gives them a note because they probably forgot too.
They were so descriptive. Dude, I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's helpful though.
But that's why I do this. And I wish more people would do this with text messages, where normally what I'll do is if I get their phone number, first thing I'll do is send them my name, like Ryan Williams, because I know they probably fucking forgot my name because I usually forget half of them.
What's your name? Yeah, all the time, dude.
So that's why I just send them my name, Ryan Williams, and I do either Industry Threadworks or also the topic of what we are, just to give them context, because that's what I think is the most important piece there, is you want to give somebody context, because ultimately you can meet a lot of cool people, but if they don't have like a flavor or character of what you do and who you are and how you operate, it's going to be way easier for them to forget you and likely that they forget you. So those little small tactics go a long way, not just for me in remembering, helping to remember these people myself, but standing out in their mind and making it easier for them to remember you, because nobody wants to say, oh, I forgot your name. But if you just send it to them anyway, it's just a nice appreciation.
It really is.
Yeah.
So many times we're like, I follow up with someone and I have their info, but they text me on a different platform and they're like, hey, I'm like,
oh,
new
so
phone,
annoying.
Who's this? Like, I don't know who this is.
Dude, I know.
And they tell me, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like,
so funny.
Just like, hey, what's up? It's every time I text someone, like, even if it's new number or whatever, hey, it's Kota, blah, 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 with Visionary Class or anything. It's like, oh, okay.
I do that all the time too. When we have like conversations on, hey, hi, how's it going? Are you selling crypto?
Crypto. I know.
So what I'll do then is because I have a lot of conversations on DM with people, and some of them are potential clients, some of them aren't. But what a lot of times somebody will do is we'll have a conversation. And I'm like, oh yeah, send me the design files or whatever it is. And they'll send me like literally just an email from not a business account with just a design file. And I got to decipher like, okay, who the fuck are you? Do you not have any idea like how many emails a busy person gets on a day? Like, and I was supposed to decipher whether did you have a phone call with you? Did I text with you? Was this a Facebook Messenger? Was this a DM? Was this like, how the fuck did we communicate? So if you're reaching out to somebody for the first time, highly recommend absolutely make sure that you include some kind of context. And what I do in those situations, if I'm having conversations with somebody over DM and it moves to a different platform, whether that's text or email, I'll immediately add context. Like, hey, Joe, we were just talking on text about this. Looking forward to exploring this further, whether that's in email or text or whatever. But I tell them what platform we were on too.
Yeah, that's
by email and like, hey, we were just DMing on this, so that way they know if they need to research what we talked about further in more detail, they know which platform to research on. Because there's so many platforms now.
Yeah.
So these are just little like pet peeves that I've noticed. I put my own little solutions in that I think are useful. So hopefully those of you guys listening will start to do it too. Make the world a better place.
People will remember you too if you do that shit.
Yeah, they will.
So going back to like a networking events, when did you realize because I know you said multiple times you didn't know that there were like real groups or events and things like that to be a part of, but like when did you realize age and maybe like what company you're in where like I need to join something like that to level up?
Man, to be honest, it was my buddy Brandon who was big into it, and he was the one who convinced me to join EO, and because he got a lot out of it. but he's like master networker. Like this guy, he died in a helicopter accident, but his funeral was freaking amazing. There was like 1,000 people there.
Wow.
And it was really moving and incredible. And he was, I think, 29 when he died. So he had like moved a lot of people's lives. And so he really was a big advocate of that. So that got me an EO. And then I realized that EO wasn't what I was looking for. So I was DMing Andy Frisella at the time. And we're just chatting. I'm like, hey man, like, have you ever joined a network group like EO group or entrepreneurs group or something? Like I just found that like EO just wasn't my speed. And I wanted something a little more aggressive. And he's like, this is before Arete. He's like, bro, hold on. Give it a couple months. I got you. And I'm like, okay, all right. I see what he's doing. And so then Arete Syndicate launched, and it launched with like very little information. It was basically like, hey, this is 50 grand. And it's not a whole lot of information what's going into it. And you're either in or out, and you got to let us know in like 48 hours. I'm like, fuck, all right. But I just sold Lamborghini at the time. So I got I think 80 grand back from that. And also our company was doing well, and I had no overhead at the time. So I had a little bit of money, and I had nothing.
What year was this?
Oh man, probably 2019, I want to say. Yeah, either 2018 or 2019. 2018 or 2019. And I was like, shit, well, I don't have anything I can spend money on because my business it didn't have any overhead, and it wasn't really growing super fast. So it was like, okay, this is fine. I can spend 50 grand on it. And dude, it was fantastic. Best investment I've ever made in my life, primarily because it showed me how many more levels up there were than where I was really at. And the biggest thing I learned from that network group was listening to guys like Andy and Ed who are running, $300, $500 million companies, and they're dealing with the exact same fucking problems I am. They're dealing with the exact same shit. There's no magic sauce. They don't have all the answers. They're just figuring it out too. I'm like, fuck, okay, I'm not an idiot. This is just the way it goes. This is just a normal path of entrepreneurship. And it really helped me believe in myself more because I realized that I already had all the answers I needed to build what I needed to build. I just needed to trust myself and move faster, because the times that we did make mistakes, we were pretty quick about fixing them and moving on. And the times that I was right. So all we really need to do is do more things, because when they were right, they worked great. And when they were wrong, we fixed them super fast. Right. So it wasn't really a drawback. It was just me overthinking shit and being like a little nerd, like, oh, well, what if this happens? What if this? Oh, I don't know about this. Like, nah, just go fucking do it and figure it out. Which works, but then I went too far on that end, went too aggressive and almost burned the company in the ground. So that was not a good strategy either.
I think that's another topic to talk about.
I think we talked about that one like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when I almost drove the whole company in the ground.
I don't think we got crazy detail about
that. Did we?
Was that? Oh, I was thinking about like how you went like a lot of employees.
Yeah, that was the one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the biggest problem. We had 24 people on staff.
I think that maybe that's another cool topic though, employees wise. Growing too fast, I don't know if we really talked about that.
It's a thing, man. It's really a thing. You can really outrun your financial runway super fast if you're not careful. I find it happens. I've talked to 4 of my friends in the last 6 months that they're all running like mid 7-figure businesses and had the exact same thing happen to them that happened to us. They're running it, and their expenses are escalating, but they don't quite have the infrastructure in place to track everything. So they don't really have a good understanding of where all the money's going. There's, it's coming in, we're growing, it's coming in, we're growing. So it's like right at the apex point where you have the money, but you don't have the resources to control it yet. And it's so fucking easy to spin out. And it happens a lot. So that's a thing that happens, which I'm learning is quite common, unfortunately. But yeah, so the connection point, and also a couple things on if you're going to one of these network groups or events, a lot of it has to do with drinking. Not that you have to drink, but it's just kind of a social thing, and it's getting people together in one place that have the same mindset, and they're all looking for the same thing. And a lot of times that will end up being the bar that's at the hotel that's closest. Because usually they'll have it at a really nice hotel, and really nice hotels usually have nice bars. So a lot of people will go to those bars anyway. So you usually have one bar or one hotel that will be the epicenter where everybody will go to after hours. And that's where it's a really good opportunity to cement and explore some of those conversations you'll have at the event. Really get to know people, just have a good laugh, have a good time, just kind of relax a little bit. And you get to see people's personalities a little bit more. Don't overdrink though. Don't be that idiot that just looks like a complete fucking dumbass, because then it'll really detrimental, because everybody in business has been fucking burned, and you don't want to do any business or anything with anybody who shows signs of instability or uncontrollability or volatility or things like that. So very important. Have a good time. Be yourself. Like, hang out. Let it hang out a little bit, but keep it under fucking control. Don't be the person puking in the fucking lawn and all that. Like, keep your shit together. And also too, because that's usually the first night or the second night, there's usually a day after, and you don't want to show up hungover or fucking late. Get some eye drops, and even if your eyes are red, or even if you're feeling fine, your eyes are probably red from drinking, put some eye drops in so you show up ready to go. Don't be hanging out in the front row with fucking sunglasses on, like, all hungover looking. Like, it's just a bad look. So it's normal. It's not a normal bar scene, but it's a normal social scene. But I would approach it like business casual is usually appropriate for whatever you're wearing, whatever the tempo is. But just be cognizant of, like, if you show up in a suit, be a person who normally wears a suit. If you show up in flip-flops and a ripped t-shirt, that's totally fine. Just be a person that normally does that. Be yourself. Don't go out of your way to change so much. Like, when I go to those things, I wear tight pants and a rock and roll t-shirt, because that's what I wear fucking everywhere, and that's the way I'm comfortable in that.
People know that's for you. If you walked in with a suit, they'd be like,
what the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
And I would feel different about myself, and I wouldn't feel comfortable being myself. So yeah, just wear what you're comfortable with. Just be aware that you are going to be, I don't want to say judged, but people are looking at the whole package there. Everything from how you walk in, how you talk, how you present yourself, what you drink, to what you wear is a huge part of that. So you don't necessarily have to change it at all. Just be aware of what you're putting out. Yeah. I mean, if somebody shows up in, like, something super odd, like a duck onesie or something, be like, wow, it's interesting. Like, I'm probably a dude I want to talk to and have a beer with and figure out the story. But also, you got to be a person, you're probably doing that because you're, like, super successful or world class at, like, one super niche thing. And maybe you're a great marketer. I would imagine a guy like that is probably a really good marketer, but he's probably not, like, an accountant or something.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
You know what I mean? So just represent yourself. Show yourself in the way that you want to be seen is basically what it comes down to. Just be aware that people have been watching. I haven't found anybody that gives a shit what you drink, really. They'll notice. But I always drink Tito's Press, which sounds super lame to say. Because you got, like, Tito's Press with the pinky up and everything. Sounds lame, but...
What's a press?
Oh, it's a vodka soda with a press of, like, 7-Up or Sprite.
Oh, okay. Never heard of that.
Yeah. So it's like 50-50 in a bar.
Okay.
But then I have to explain it. I look like a fucking California douche. They're like, oh, you're from California, aren't you? But it's also...
Your Tito.
But I'm comfortable with it. I don't care, dude. Like, put a splash of fucking lemon in it. I don't give a shit. But that also... Even that sparks up conversations where I can show that they give me a little shit, and I can show that I can take a little shit and then give a little shit back, and I'm not insecure about it. And that show, like, even down to the littlest, like, what you drink shows a little bit about you, Yeah. If I'm just, like, chugging Coors Light in the corner, that says something too. It's just different. Yeah. Not that it's bad. It's just different. So,
I'm just, oh man.
Yeah. Just be aware of the package that you're presenting there.
What do you say if someone's just drinking just
nothing?
Whiskey on the rocks.
Cool. Probably a little traditional, old fashioned, which is good. If they're drinking nothing, that's good too. More mature. That's totally fine.
I thought you were gonna say Mormon when you said Mormon. Mormon.
Maybe. I don't know. But it takes a lot of strength to not drink in social situations.
It really does.
Like, I personally, I think I'm way funnier when I'm drinking. So I drink just because I think I'm better company. Trust me, you'll like me way better if you're drinking too.
Guys, Ryan is not drunk during the podcast, so.
No. Yeah.
Only on 33 and 21.
21, yeah.
Those are fun.
What else is there? So,
how many times should they be going to like an event?
No more than you need. Because I've been to a lot lately, and after a while, maybe it's because most of the dudes who are on stage are already like, they're already legit friends, and I talk to them fairly regularly anyway. So I don't like, and everybody has their thing that they talk about. And most of those guys are so generous on social media. If you just follow them on social, they'll tell you most of what you'll hear on stage anyway. So it's cool to see them up there and cool to hear them like talk with the passion and the energy of it. And it's a great like vibe in the moment. But also, don't go in there expecting to have any like world changing things. You'll have a few things, but the biggest impact I found by far is the other people in the group. So don't go in there closed off. Go in there, try to meet as many people as you can, because those people are probably, I mean, I've got friends from the first Arete event. We're brand new friends are at my wedding like a year later that we're still friends. Like one of them was just hanging out this last weekend, came out to San Diego, and there's like lifelong friends that I'll have. We've all gone through some significant shit in the last 3 years, like me almost ruining my whole company. One of them actually did like lose his whole company, and relationship issues. And like, dude, it's very important to have people by your side and in your corner when you're going through that shit. Even if they can't go through it with you, they can at least like help guide you. Like, hey, here's a great, bankruptcy attorney, or here's this other person who's going to help with this or whatever. Sometimes just fucking being there for coffee sometimes. Be like, dude, yeah, you're going through a lot right now, man. Like, come hang out or just keep going or whatever it is. But dude, it feels lonely, man, especially when everybody only talks about the good shit about entrepreneurship online. Like, oh, I'm fucking killing it. And then you go bankrupt and you feel like a fucking loser and you feel like everybody hates you and you feel like you let everybody down. It's like, no, man, that's a very real possibility. And it happens. Like, but I think there's also, it shows a lot of character in how you handle it. Because my buddy that went through bankruptcy, he didn't go through bankruptcy, but he lost his company. And he still owes people money, but he's upfront with me like, hey man, like I still owe you this money. I'm going to pay you. Like, it's just going to take me some time. I got to build it up. And he's upfront about it. Whereas this other dude who's a client of ours totally lied about everything, had to dissolve all his companies because he owed so many people such money. And when I confronted him about it, he's like, oh, what are you talking about? I don't know you that. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, we did all this work. Here's your words. Here's the invoice. Here's a screenshot of you saying this. Like, I'm a man of my word. Well, then I guess we can get the invoices paid tomorrow then, huh? No, it turns out no. So now we're looking at ways to...
How do you go after that? Like, we're going off topic, but like after they dissolve, like what do you do?
Well, to be honest, man, like he might save himself. And he owed us like only like $8,500. So it's enough so that I'm going to be, on my radar, but it's not enough from like, it's not going to change my world. But I can tell you one thing. I know a lot of people in that guy's world, and not a single one will do fucking business with that motherfucker ever again. Because I'm going to tell all of them. I'm not going to say my opinion. I'm only going to tell them exactly what happened and show them screenshots of his own words and what's going on and let them make their own decision.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, nobody will work with that fucking clown ever again.
Damn.
But that's a difference between like both of those people went through a similar situation, but one of them handled it with grace and poise and character, and the other one's just a slimy piece of shit.
Team guy or no?
No, Marine guy.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's...
Well, there's plenty of team guys who are turds too. So
yeah. But in the aspect you gotta do. But if that's the world of it, it's like,
yeah. And that's why you got to be careful, man. So like and that's why you'll find like as people get more advanced in business, people get fucked over. And so you'll find that a lot of people who are higher up in business are a little bit kind of gun shy about letting people into their circle. So that's what I mean when I say be aware of the packages you're presenting in these places, because I know if I see like one thing that reminds me of something else that this fucker did or said, I'm like, oh, okay, fucking red flag. Yeah, like a couple of those, like, oh, I'm out. I'm never doing business with that person because it reminds me of this other thing. So just be aware of the package that you're presenting. And that's why I think it's important to respect people's space and do those little things. Like when you text them, show them that like you actually give a shit. Like I'm giving you my name. I'm not expecting you to remember it. Like I'm giving it to you. Like just these little shows of courtesy go a long way. It's also why I think a lot of people have a problem with how they communicate online versus how they communicate in person. Because a lot of people are good in person, but then they get super awkward or weird when they're trying to like DM and stuff. And I think if you just approach a DM conversation, like if you think, what would I do in person? And just do that on DM, it's so much simpler and it's going to come across so much easier. Like I use emojis like a 12-year-old girl, dude. I use emojis all the time. I don't care.
But to me, like that's a huge thing too, where I will be working with someone and it's like, oh, you're really like, we gel, blah, blah. And then like I text them and it's like 1-word answers or blah, blah, blah. No punctuation. I'm like, did I fuck up?
Are you mad at me?
Yeah. Like, and it's just like something we look into. But now I'm just like so dialed. Like I don't care about that aspect because every time I talk to them, they're like, oh, what's up, dude? Like that's how they're just really quick with their text.
Yeah. People have a misconception about that though. Cause they think, I remember this one guy was famous for giving like literally 1-word email responses. And he's a nice dude, very personable, but he just wasn't aware. Like you come off as a total dick. It's like, no, I'm just really efficient. Like, actually, it's way more efficient for you. Right. It's way more efficient for you to understand how that message is perceived by another human and how that's going to affect how they treat you and how they look at you and your business and the relationship down the line. Like, it's actually way more effective for you to take an extra 20 seconds and say, hey, oh, yeah, you know what? This is great. We don't want to do this, though. We're going to do this other thing.
Exactly.
Way more effective than no. You just look like a total ass.
At least I had an exclamation point.
Like, and then you're like, oh, I'm just really efficient. Like, no. You just are very unaware.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Before we wrap up, one more question.
Yes.
It's intimidating to go up to people that you might look up to, entrepreneur-wise or whatever.
Oh, I hate it, dude. I'm such a
what
introvert
do you do?
with that.
How do you go up to that person that you're like, they help me a lot. You're part of the group. Let's just say, because you started talking.
Drinking helps, I think.
Right? Oh, yeah. Dude,
helps
take
me
a little shot.
Shot, Jack. Let's go.
Yeah, but like I think a lot of people when they see like an Andy or an Ed, like it's hard for them where they've never met him before or part of the group or whatever to go up to someone like that and just like, hey, like how do you bring value to them? How,
Man, it depends. Like it's like at like Arete, it's such a big group now, and Andy and Ed are so big, they literally can't come out. Yeah. They'll just be mobbed. So I wouldn't even approach them. If you're in that situation where there's like 20 people around them, like, and they're telling a story, totally go up and listen, but don't be the asshole. It's like in the middle of the story, hey bro, I'm Ryan, how's it going? I really don't. They'd be like, shut the fuck up, I'm telling a story. You know what I mean? Like be aware of the social situation. And if you're sitting there and like you're in a lounge and there's only a couple people around and he's talking with like 3 other people, I would say it's appropriate to just keep it super short and one way, and don't even ask any questions. Just be like, "Hey, I'm Ryan. I'm following the podcast. Thank you so much for putting this stuff out. It really really impacted my life. Just want to let you know. That's it. Because then, if you don't have a fucking ask, it's very likely that somebody like that would be like, "Oh, dude, awesome. Yeah, tell me about it. How did it impact your life?" And then that's an invitation, and now you're not an asshole. But if you go like, "Oh, let me pick your brain," oh, dude, you. Yeah, that's not a good. That's not a good look.
Yeah, man. Because I had like opportunities like talking with people like that, and it's just I approach it like, dude, they have so many people come up to them. If they're by themselves, it's like I think if I go up to them and just keep it short, brief, and just like, hey, my name's blah, Kota. I really appreciate your music. Yeah, like it's amazing. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah,
they might be like, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I don't. To me, like I'm not a person for pictures. Like I won't take. Like I don't care about taking a picture with a celebrity.
I know. I feel like a fanboy.
It's more just like I lived in that moment. I got to talk. I don't need a show to prove people. So I think they appreciate that too. It's like, oh, they just came up to me and said hi.
Yeah.
And then like they walked away. They didn't have to whip out a phone or say hey.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know. So
you're not looking for clout because there's so many of those people. There's always a fucking ask. So if you don't ask, and if you do have, say you do have a question. But like you're at the gym or something, you don't want to bug a guy or something, but you do have a question. A way that you can approach it, like a little tactic, is you'd be like, "Hey man, I know you're busy. I just want to say I follow your podcast, or I see you on Instagram, and I love what you're doing. It's really awesome. I have one question. If you don't mind, I know you're busy. I'll DM it to you, and if you have time to look at it, that would be I really appreciate it. I think you can really help me out with this question or this problem that I'm having." And they'll be like, "Fuck, takes 5 seconds," and you're giving me the out of like, getting back to what I'm doing
later,
and giving me also especially appreciate the DM thing because this arm's length from text. Text is too close. Most people don't like giving out their phone number, so don't ask for that don't ask for that from a person who you think is in an elevated position. Wait until they give it to you. Yeah. But DM, I think, is appropriate.
It feels cooler when they give it to you.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we're DMing a lot. Here's my cell. Just text me. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, it's way cooler. But I think there's ways to get what you're looking for. Like if you're really looking for a question, just understand that there's probably no situation where you can go up to a guy like Andy or Ed and just be like, hey, I have this question, and it's going to give you like a 20-minute answer. Like it's just not, I mean, if you paid them $10,000, like they're just not going to spend the time to do it. Mm-hmm. But if you approach it in ways like that, they might be like super happy to help you out because that's why they do all this stuff. Exactly. They have plenty of money. Yeah. They do it because they enjoy giving back. It makes them feel fulfilled and part of something. It's a purpose and a mission. Mm-hmm. And if you can tie that into your question, it's way more likely that they're going to actually give you a thoughtful response. But yeah, there's a few phrases that I would just strike out of your vocabulary. Number one would be fucking, can I pick your brain?
Pick your brain.
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, but ultimately I'd say just pay attention to the context and the situation. Be yourself as much as you possibly can. That's partly why I really enjoy drinking because I feel like I'm more myself when I'm drinking. A few, not a lot. You got to know yourself.
Blacked out.
Yeah, you got to know when that limit is. Personally, and this is also maybe something that might be useful for people. Disney and I have a really good relationship when we go out. We both are, experienced drinkers. We go out. Yeah. And she's been around a lot of these events and a lot of these people now. And so I rely on her a lot. Like if I'm having a good time and I'm drinking and she says, she'll just say quiet, hey babe, like how many more are you going to have? That's my cue. Like, oh shit. Okay. If my wife notices, this other guy probably notices, that means I'm on the verge of having too much. Like, cool. I'm not having any more. Or I'll slow down and get like a half one or whatever it is. But having somebody external who can kind of give you a different perspective on it is very useful. I love going to these things with Disney because she's a fucking animal when it comes to business, and she knows almost the same as I do on as far as our business is related. And she's just a killer operator, and she's a good leader for our team too. So when I'm in these conversations with people, it's really cool to have her chime in with something that's like actually accurate, and thoughtful, and good. And then it makes us look like it's not just the Ryan show. It's Ryan and Disney, and now we're like, quote unquote power couple. And it's like, it just makes us more useful because a lot of these people too some of them have really, really good, deep, rich relationships with their significant others. And some of them don't. Yeah. But the ones that do, I find that they tend to really appreciate when you have a power sharing between couples and it's more of like an even split. Little things like that.
I was going to say, like, I don't work with my girlfriend, right? Like she's not in my business or whatever, but I'm blessed where I met her at a job, right? Billie Jean's. And we understood like that the entrepreneur space and how business works, all that stuff. So me and her went to like 2 events together. And it's just like, she understands me as an entrepreneur, but it's also cool for her to be there because she's into it. Yeah. It's like self-development, but it's also like gets their mind churning of like what else is possible for them, So it's cool. Like just being on the same page when you're with your partner, like helps out too.
Oh yeah. Especially if they know the landscape. Like, and also man, like it is a tough road as an entrepreneur. It is also a very tough road to be married to an entrepreneur or to be, a significant other of an entrepreneur because sometimes you feel like the other woman, or like, because entrepreneurship just takes over. In fact, before Disney was working with me in the business, she actually really resented the business because I was spending so much time on it. She hated it. She's like, why are you doing this? We could spend time together and you're doing all this shit. And then it wasn't until I invited her in, showed her what I was dealing with and had her help solve these problems. She's like, oh, I get it now. Yeah. Get it. And then turns out she was really good at it and quit nursing school and work with me. I'm like, oh yeah, good. Thanks.
That was easy.
Yeah, it worked out good. Oh, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of things. But basically just be a good human. Be the best human you can be. And have fun. Enjoy yourself. And get out of your shell a little bit, maybe get out of your comfort zone a little bit, and try to meet as many people as you can without being a weirdo.
Don't be a weirdo.
Don't be weird.
Just be fucking normal.
Just be cool, bitch. Yeah. Just be cool.
Yeah, dude.
How's that? What's that Saturday Night Live skit? He's like, how do you avoid, what's the number one thing for avoiding sexual harassment charge? Number one, be attractive. Just be cool. Just be cool. That's it.
All right, man. Is there anything else?
Well, let me see. Drinking, bars, hotels, Instagram, how to connect. Yeah, I covered all the things that I had.
Nice, man.
All right.
Oh, yeah, dude. Well, if you've been watching, appreciate you guys watching Mapping Out all the time, every Friday. DM us a video asking us questions about what to cover. Me and Ryan always kind of go into a conversation with what we think might help you, right? So we actually want to answer the questions that you have. So DM us, Kota Films, Invictus
5326.
Just DM us, and guess what? We'll answer the question, and we will put you on the podcast. We'll look over your Instagram and your website.
Yeah,
just give you a shout out. See what you're up to.
Freebie.
All right,
cool, man. Shake and bake.
Shake and bake.